Just over a year ago, my life situation was kind of dire. I was struggling a lot with my mental health. I didn't talk to people. I didn't have friends. I had lost my job. I was losing my home. It was probably the worst time of my life, actually.
I had a drug addiction for many years. I drank. That stopped working for me, so I got into the drugs. I went from alcohol straight to crack cocaine.
I had recently became homeless. I got jumped by two young girls and got beaten up. At one point in that time, I got sick. It was physical pain, it was emotional pain. If anything could go wrong, it did.
I just didn't really feel like I had any options left. I had actually purchased a firearm.
I was pretty much at my wit's end, and I didn't know how to deal with it, so I turned back to the drug use.
My life was spiraling out of control, and I continued to use the drugs to mask things that was going on in my mind. And within that year, I had never felt so much pain and suffering. I wanted to die.
My father caught me off guard and confronted me on the day that I was planning on completing everything.
I used such large amounts that I can't believe I didn't die. I mean, I was coming up with things of how to die without me doing it myself.
My children, in my head, I'm thinking, they're going to be so disappointed. They're going to be, I'm this horrible, bad person.
One day, something happened. I woke up and I started thinking to myself, like, my kids are going to be without their parents.
I became really nervous and really emotional, and I told him everything, and he brought me to Netcare.
My son, I had called him and told him, I think I'm just going to call Netcare and go in there. And he was elated. He was like, thank God, because he's 3,000 miles away. There was just not a whole lot that he could do.
I had my son bring me here, and it was at midnight, and I was high.
Going into it, I was really skeptical. It was really hard for me to believe that anyone actually cared what happened to me.
And the minute I walked in the door, I mean, you're greeted with a friendly face.
The staff was wonderful. People were very open, which allowed me to be open about what was actually going on with myself. I felt safe.
Being Muslim and then also being transgender as well. Nobody ever batted an eyelash or made me feel weird or out of place.
My thought process within that few hours started turning because of the way they were talking to me like I was a human being.
I needed some of that love and care and concern, and genuinely it was offered.
They had me in the CSU, and then from there they transferred me to the Miles house. I was there for about 2 weeks.
Miles house was a really good period in my life. It let me be able to clear my head and not be afraid anymore.
When I had a chance to meet some of the other clients, that also was eye-opening for me. When you hear their stories and you realize that it's like, hey, I'm not the only person that goes through this sort of thing.
I'd beat myself up for so long for even using again, because intellectually I knew that wasn't the answer to what to do, but I realized that I was dealing with a whole lot of things and I had no outlet for it. I mean, it was at that point that the hope that I've known that I've had, it came back, and I was hopeful again. I was hopeful again.
I really look forward to discovering more about myself, and I realize I am really young. I have a whole life ahead of me.
As of right now, I'm looking into getting back into school and helping others, like in drug and alcohol counseling. I do have the experience, because I've lived it. I know what they're going through.
I've really thrown myself kind of back into my artwork. That used to be a really big part of who I was, but that was something that I lost. The people at Netcare and also at the Miles house really helped me to rediscover that part of myself.
Right now, I'm still kind of struggling with some stuff, but today, I'm so much happier. My son's getting married, and I want to be there to see that.
Life's not always going to be great, but it's just how you handle it. I choose not to pick up. I choose not to get too caught up in my thoughts, because it does get better, and each day is a blessing.
With God's grace and mercy and a good 12-step program, I can get through anything. I can get through it. I can get through it.
Mental health difficulties are something that's still really stigmatized. Netcare and the Miles House, places like those and those people, they help to wash that stigma away.
A lot of people don't know what's out there and what's available. And there are so many stereotypes about mental health and substance abuse.
People need to realize that there's no shame in admitting that you might need some help.
I don't think when we're little, we grow up saying, you know, I want to be a drug addict or I want to have mental health issues.
Having places like Netcare where people can go when they do need help, those people still need to know that they're worth it and that they're still valuable, that they still matter.
With places like Miles House and Netcare Access, people that do understand, maybe it's just going to help educate people who don't.
Depression is real. Anxiety is real. Suicide is real.
We don't place anywhere near as much value as we should onto places like Netcare.
It's to save lives. I mean, it's to get people their resources, you know, to get better.
The fact that there are places out there like this, I know it doesn't have to be hopeless anymore.
I'm grateful that it's at my fingertips. I can call. And that voice on the other end reminds me that there is hope.
They were amazing. I hope I was able to communicate that to them.
I just absolutely love it. I'm grateful that I can come here if I need to.
If what I've gone through can help one other person, it was all worth it.
I definitely know that I wouldn't be where I am today if not for the experience that I had.
If they're struggling, call Netcare. They're there to help you with open arms.